This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Alrighty, everybody. Time for the mailbag. It's Wednesday, April 26, 2023. Let's get into it. Let's see what's on your mind. Starting with the patrons. And Jared Lee, he says, am I the only one who is surprised that Gunther versus Woods was close? I felt like that should have been a squash match for Gunther. No way Gunther is in a close match with Woods. Should have been a powerbomb and done. I don't care who the other team was. Gunther and done. So, yeah, in reality, yeah. If this was an actual competitive sport, yes, of course. There's no question. But they value Woods. And if you remember back when they did Bobby Lashley versus Xavier Woods, I think it was last year, Xavier Woods put on a hell of a show against Bobby Lashley. And the thing is also, not only is he's a mainstay, he's been a part of one of the most successful groups in WWE history, but the narrative is, especially with an established guy, everyone takes everyone to the limit. Very rarely do you see a squash match with men and women that are established. Very rarely. So you knew it was going to be competitive. You knew the story going in at the end of it anyway was going to be, oh, well, Xavier took Gunther to the limit. Nonsense, right? I agree. All right. Let's see. Alex says, I wanted once again to ask you about your perception of time. What do you mean by you think it doesn't exist? Could it be an After Dark subject? Your European champion, Alex. Yeah, so that is going to be a topic that I'm going to dive into probably the next time I do it After Dark. It's a little bit more in depth about time and space and the perception of time. I'm no, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Okay, I'm not anywhere near there, but I'll try to break it down into why I think time does not exist. It's just a mirage, and also maybe talk about if I think we're actually in a simulation. That's a hot topic too. So, yeah, if you're interested, by the way, guys, if you're wondering what the After Dark show is, it's an adult version of this podcast where we talk about really everything. Everything. All right. It could be PG-13. It's R-rated often, sometimes X-rated. Not for the kids. Okay. And that's available to you at the SmackDown tier and higher over on Patreon. All right. What else we got from another patron here? And this is, oh wow. All right. A return here. We've got Dr. BGB. And he says, I haven't been on the mailbag in so long, but I just felt the urge to finally return. So once again, hey, Matt, hope all is well. This is the Doc of the WWE Podcast, Dr. BGB. I just have to ask you, who do you think will be the first new World Heavyweight Champion? And do you like the belt design? So, do I like the new belt design? At first, no. I would have just left it as is. I love the old World Heavyweight Championship look. I didn't think there was a need to change it. But belts evolve, and it's not surprising that they put the WWE logo right in the middle of what was otherwise a beautiful belt. It'll grow on us. At least it's not the spinner belt. It's not my favorite right now, but I'm not going to spend, too much time complaining about it. What it represents is more important to me. But who do I think the World Heavyweight Champion is going to be, the new one? If I was going to put money on it, probably Cody, because I think Seth is going to SmackDown, where I think Roman will remain, and there's a massive story to tell with Roman and Seth that they have yet to tell, and you can't have the new World Heavyweight Champion go where Roman goes, because that means that would go in complete opposite of what Triple H said on Raw, that championship will go wherever Roman does not. And I think Seth's going where Roman does, thereby Seth does not become champion. So I think it's Cody Rhodes. All right. Let's see. I think it should be Seth. He deserves it so much, but I think the match of the night at Night of Champions should be Seth versus Finn in the ring. It would be magical and have Seth overcome the odds of the Judgment Day would be awesome. So, yeah, and also very apropos, remember how the very first Universal Champion was Finn Balor, who faced Seth Rollins? So a little bit of poetic poetry there, I guess, right? But yeah, I don't hate that. And, if Seth is not going to SmackDown and they somehow avoid Seth and Roman on the same show and for some reason they still don't do it, then sure, Seth has an absolute case to be made, and it's going to be a babyface. Has to be a babyface champion, especially the way that Triple H was explaining how the person who wins this is going to be one that defends it anytime, anywhere, which is, again, why, number one, doesn't that devalue the championship if anyone can earn it at any time? And there's no parameters, there's nothing, there's no pre-qualifications. You just have to defend it all the time against anyone that asks you. It's ridiculous. But that all that told me was, beyond devaluing the damn thing, was that that it's going to be a babyface, because that's what babyfaces always do. That's their trademark. They defended it against anyone. I hate that narrative. Heels got it right. They're selective. Whether they're doing it out of cowardice or whatever, at least I think upholds the championship's respect. All right. Anyway, besides that, I have one more question, and it's, what's your favorite match for the old World Heavyweight Championship? There's so many greats, including the first ever Elimination Chamber. Anyway, I'll talk to you next time, Dr. BGB. So my favorite, anything Shawn Michaels and Triple H, and from 03 to 04. I mean, really any of them, whether it's the Bad Blood match. I think it was a 3 Stages of Hell match that those two had, or it was an actual Hell in a Cell match. I can't remember. And that was amazing. The Royal Rumble 2004, I believe it was, with Shawn and Triple H, the Last Man Standing match. I mean, just go down the list. So just take your pick of Triple H, Shawn Michaels from that era when they faced each other for the world title. That's my answer. All right, let's keep moving on here. And our next email is from, let's see, Thomas Franco. He's from Montreal, and you guys heard him on the actual Elimination Chamber review show. If you guys remember, he was in attendance for the Sami Zayn Roman Reigns title match. And he says, it's been a minute since I last wrote in, but I've been waiting since Mania to see what the fallout would look like. I'd like to start off by saying, finally, Triple H bringing back the World Heavyweight Championship has been a long time coming. That was my favorite belt back in the day, wrestling, and I remember a lot of my favorite wrestlers holding it, like Edge, Cena, Orton, and so on. I don't think Cody should win it, and here's why. If you're going to play on the finish the story narrative, I believe you should drag it out till WrestleMania 40. Cody didn't beat Roman at Mania and is still extremely over with the crowd. I think you have a solid 6 to 8 months before the fans will start getting annoyed by a lack of a world championship around his waist. I think they're already annoyed, though, Thomas. I mean, there are people still losing their minds over the fact that Cody Rhodes didn't win at Mania. And why would you not want to also strike when the iron's hot? I mean, in 6 to 8 months, like that's an eternity in wrestling speak. So I think what if by that time, though, the fans have kind of given up hope and they don't have the patience for that long, and they're just kind of disinterested in the Cody Rhodes character. 6 to 8 months, again, in wrestling time is an enormous amount of time. And a lot can happen. What if an injury happens, right? Like, you don't know. So for me, I would strike while the iron's hot, kind of balance out the Roman Reigns equation with the Cody Rhodes championship. But I hear what you're saying. A Cody at WrestleMania 40 winning certainly would be a big moment. But right now, I think you have the crowd is as hot as it's going to get for a Cody Rhodes, I think. I don't think you can continue to build it for 6 to 8 months until WrestleMania 40. I don't. That's my take. But I totally understand your logic. I just think that, they've got a great situation. They've got a top baby face. The fans have bought in, that kind of thing. And I think that absolutely right now Cody is the right time. But I understand your logic too. And I wouldn't be shocked if it didn't happen. But all right. So let's see. You go on to say that you agree with my opinion that it has to be a babyface who wins the title at Night of Champions, and your picks to be in contention to win are Seth, Shinsuke, and Bobby Lashley. I think Rollins has to be the guy to win it. He can hold the title right up to the Rumble and then possibly build a feud with Roman for WrestleMania 40. Screw The Rock, he ain't showing up. You can then have Cody and someone else face off for the World Heavyweight Championship. Seth, Shinsuke, and Bobby. Shinsuke, probably not. I mean, they're doing a nice build for his return, and Shinsuke is, I believe, undefeated since he returned, which isn't saying much. But I don't think that they view Shinsuke as even in contention for the championship. Now, he may be a part of a tournament that I'm imagining they construct, but he may not make it past probably the second round, I think. And yeah, The Rock, excuse me, he ain't showing up. No, I mean, WrestleMania 40, given that's a nice round number in Philly, there is history with Roman and Rock in Philly from the Royal Rumble in 2015. If you remember, The Rock came out and Roman Reigns was an awful babyface at that point. Roman Reigns won the Rumble. The Rock tried to come out and save him and save the crowd reaction. The crowd still booed The Rock, still booed Roman, and it was a beautiful thing to see. So you could, there's history there, but yeah, I agree. Until I see The Rock physically, I'm not predicting anything. I agree. All right, so I think WWE should do this because it allows them to tease Seth and Roman for Roman's title, but at Survivor Series later this year in a champion versus champion match. You can plant the seeds here and still get a great headlining match. Well, that also depends if they're going to go with the brand versus brand nonsense that they did, but did away with this past year, which I really enjoyed, and they went to War Games. So I'm saying no only because War Games seems to be the structure or the foundation of Survivor Series now, and I don't think they'll do champion versus champion. If they ever do champion versus champion, it has to be, as you said, in kind of a non-title match, because you can't unify the already unified belt that Roman's carrying and then the World Heavyweight Championship to go back to one. So if you have champion versus champion, it has to be non-title. But I hear what you're saying. Lastly, looking forward to the Backlash card for a B-level premium live event. I think there are a lot of matches that have the potential to be amazing if given time. I think long-term WWE should be looking to have Bianca drop the championship to Io Sky when she ultimately turns babyface after the Damage Control splits. Io Sky versus Asuka at SummerSlam would be a headline match, but the likelihood of WWE doing this are not too high, since both the talent don't have English as their first language. That's all for me. Take care. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, I mean, that hasn't stopped them in the past from putting a title on somebody. I mean, how long was Asuka the women's champion? I mean, a long time. Raw women's champion. Not the best run, and they actually seem to have forgotten her for several months, if you remember that back in 2020, that they just literally ignored Asuka as Raw Women's Champion. But they aren't shy just because the person has verbal limitations. Now, the ceiling is lower because they can't communicate with their main audience, certainly. But I don't think that they would shy away from a match that they would deem as a high quality match. It's new, right? They love their new matches. Asuka has a new look. I love that. I mean, I wouldn't say, again, the language thing, just because it's not their first language. There's a lot of men and women that, English isn't their first language, but I mean, their limited English is just, I mean, it's atrocious. I agree. All right. So thanks, Tom. Let's get to our next patron, Mr. DJ Kuzmo, and he says he's back at it again on our Mailbag show. I know everyone's going to talk about it, but let's talk about it again and again. I'm talking about none other than the return of the World Heavyweight title to Monday Night Raw. Here we go. Everyone, this is what we've been waiting for far too long. Since Roman became a dual champion at last year's WrestleMania, many of us have mentioned in time passing that it would be great to bring back the World Heavyweight title. I like how Triple H mentions that this new champion will, quote, be a champion you can be proud of. This will be a champion you can respect. This will be a champion you can admire. Now, with that being said, I think we all know who it's going to be to become the World Heavyweight Champion. I'm talking about none other than Seth freaking Rollins. But let's pump the brakes here. Wait a minute. We have about 29 or 30 days until we know who the new champion will be at Night of Champions. Is it going to be a singles match for the new title or a tournament? Plus, there are still some unanswered questions as to what the main rosters will look like after the draft. In addition to that, does having this new world title on Raw, presumably, DJ, enforce the brand split of only having the Raw roster compete for this title and not the SmackDown roster? The answer to that is yes, because Triple H was very clear that Roman, wherever he lands, is exclusive to that brand. So the answer is yes. Presumably, I mean, we all think that the World Heavyweight title is going to be a Raw title and Roman's not going anywhere because he's made a really nice home on SmackDown. I mean, SmackDown is so enjoyable, not just because of him. I mean, he's there every third week or fourth week, but just the storyline of the bloodline. They're such a pillar, a foundational piece of SmackDown. Let's see. Another question, can there possibly be a unification ceremony at Night of Champions when Roman celebrates his 1,000th day as champion? Because if not, my issue would continue to be there are too many title belts on the roster. How about, for crying out loud, not literally though, about unifying the men's tag team championships and having only one on the main roster? Well, they did unify them. The problem is that they unified them, but then they've, over the last couple of months, had a SmackDown, I think it was just a Raw tag team title match, and they might have had a SmackDown tag team title match. If they're unified, then they're unified, which means they are a singular entity. You can't just willy-nilly split them. I guess because the physical belts haven't changed that they felt they could do that. But I agree. Like, if you have a unified belt, create one belt to represent the one championship. Don't have two belts representing one championship. I think that's the confusion. I'm totally with you. If you're going to have a unified belt, and I hope they do, create one, right? Don't do two. And the way you do that, you don't have to pick a color. Keep them the same style, and all you have to do is just turn it black, right? You don't have to go red or blue. You just go black. So, or if you really want to get cute, go purple. So it's a mix of red and blue, right? But yeah, the 1,000th day as champion celebration is going to be a very interesting one. And here's the other weird thing. It's going to be, as we all know, falling on Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. He's going to win whatever match he's in with Sammy or Jay or whoever he faces at that event. Or Cody, who knows? But the thing is, he's not going to be able to be on Raw as the champion celebrating his 1,000th day because more than likely he's going to be drafted to SmackDown. So I guess from a selfish perspective, I'll be at that Monday Night Raw after the event. He won't be a part of Raw. He'll be a part of SmackDown. But we'll get to see the new World Heavyweight Champion, which presumably is either Seth or Cody. So that'll be fun. All right. What else, DJ? Lot of unanswered questions, so many different angles. Let's enjoy the moment for Monday Night Raw. Yeah, I agree. Let's just enjoy the fact that they heard us, they heard our complaints, and they are doing something about it, and that's all we can ask. Now, I quickly want to mention my hypothesis for the reason why Brock attacked Cody a few weeks ago. A logical reason that I thought of from a storyline perspective of why Brock attacked Cody. Here we go. The reason why Brock attacked Cody has nothing to do with Brock. It has everything to do with Paul Heyman. From a storyline perspective, Paul Heyman still has Brock Lesnar's phone number. Paul could have set the Brock turn in terms of getting Cody away from challenging Roman for the title, and 2, getting Brock away from challenging Roman again for the title for the umpteenth time. Plus, Cody needs to earn a title opportunity the long, drawn-out storyline way and not take a shortcut to get back into title contention against Roman. Just an opinion. Enough said. DJ Kuzmo signing off. Okay. Not impossible. And any time that Paul Heyman is cornered about Brock Lesnar and did he know he's going to be there and this and that, Paul diverts or cowers or gets anxious and nervous, which tells you he clearly is still texting Brock Lesnar in storyline, but in real life, of course, too. The issue I have with this now, DJ, yours is a smart, logical reason. I have no problem with that. I mean, my multi-layer problem with the explanations that we got from the announce team and from Cody were, number one, we were hearing explanations that weren't consistent with Brock Lesnar's character at all. Number 2, they were both speculative. And number 3, we weren't hearing from the dude himself. I don't want to hear about speculation and then speculation on top of illogical reasons. Give me Brock's reason. I want to hear it from him. He shouldn't be off the hook here because he's not great at promos. Give him basic reasons. I even if it's a terrible reason or a weak reason, at least I will respect this a little bit more if they just have Brock give us something. But they've done this time and again with Brock Lesnar programs that they feel they don't need to have him talk about why he's done what he's done. It's just Brock being Brock. That's lazy. That's lazy booking. That's lazy creative. So that's just my 2 cents. All right. Let's get to a couple more emails here, and then we'll jump into the voicemails. And this one is from Chandler. Not Chandler. No, it is Chandler. Sorry. He says, hey, Matt. Wow. The new world title looks great, except for the big WWE logo in the middle. Yeah. I think in time we'll get used to it. But if you've seen the World Heavyweight Championship in the past, it's bigger and it's all gold, and there's no big logo in the middle. I miss the days when the world title was made to look like a true championship and not used as a promotional tool, but other than that, I really do like it. I hope they hold a tournament for it and someone really deserving wins like Drew, Seth, Cody, Bobby. Anyway, thanks for your time and doing your podcast. You make my workday go by faster. Well, I'm glad I can help you out at work. And I think your few men that you mentioned here are the favorites, right? Drew, Seth, Cody, Bobby. Yes, I really can't see anybody else coming out of the woodwork to win this. And like I mentioned last night, dare I put it out in the universe that Roman Reigns wins this? Imagine. I almost would love to see them do it. They won't, but you're correct. It's one of those four, no doubt. And yeah, I mean, I think they're going to do a tournament, and I think that tournament can't even be announced or the brackets filled until after, obviously, the draft is done, so you know who can actually compete. What's crazy, though, is they haven't even told us how the draft is being done, which is weird. Is it lottery? Is it just, you get a pick, I get 2 picks because I'm Raw, 1 pick for every 2? I mean, I don't know. It's weird they haven't given us a format, but thanks, Chandler. All right, one more email here. Let's get to Isaac. He says, I hope you're doing well, man. I'm Isaac Williams from Manchester, England, and it's my first time writing in. Well, welcome, Isaac. Recently got back into WWE since Triple H became head of creative, and I've started to feel how I did when I was younger growing up in the late Ruthless Aggression, early PG era. I've been listening to the show now for the past few months since I started my new job and wanted to discover other perspectives on the product, and I've made you guys a part of my weekly routine, so thank you for getting me through my shifts. Man, you guys use this a lot for work. I'm not complaining. It's just, you never know who's listening to us, where. You have no idea. I mean, I'm sitting in my little office, right, and you just never know who the hell you're reaching. You don't, and that's really cool. My question for you is, do you think the future of WWE is in good hands, or do you think the quality of the next generation has been grossly over-exaggerated? I'm not 100% sure myself on how much growing room stars like Carmelo Hayes, Creed Brothers, Braun Breaker, etc. have. Well, I think WWE is in good hands as long as Vince stays the hell away. Now, Vince is involved in, I think, day-to-day operational, behind-the-scenes stuff. Presuming he's not in creative, I think WWE has a chance to evolve. Because I think Vince McMahon's vision for the company and the way he does things and his temperament, everything, all of those things are kind of a cancer at this point in WWE. And look, he's built an amazing empire. Respect to the man. He's the reason we're all here. But it's just time to move on. He's mentally decaying in front of our eyes, physically decaying in front of our eyes. And it's just time to move on. That's all. But I think we are in good hands. The quality of the next generation. I mean, when you say over exaggerated, in what way? Who do you think is over exaggerating it? If you think it's the announcers on NXT, or if you think maybe it's the wrestlers on social media or WWE themselves in some way, well, what do you expect them to say? That's their job, especially the announcers, to put over the talent. What are they going to say? I mean, even if they truly believe it, what are they supposed to say? Well, guys, this next generation of NXT stars kind of looks a little vanilla to me, but maybe we'll get something out of them, right? Of course not. They're going to try to sell them like the next coming of John Cena, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold. I mean, that's their job. That's their job. So I guess it depends on who is saying what when you're talking about over exaggeration. But I think Gunther and Pretty Deadly have the chance to become megastars, but I feel someone like MJF will need to be brought in to be the face of the company and not rely on returns from Roman Reigns the same way they do currently with the stars of the Attitude Era. Once again, many thanks for making my day easier. See ya. Thanks, Isaac. Yeah, Gunther is a future world champion, whether it's the world heavyweight or the undisputed. Absolutely. And Pretty Deadly I followed loosely, but from what I've seen, I'm impressed. And MJF, I mean, you guys don't need to hear me say it once again. I hope WWE writes as many zeros on the check that is needed to get MJF into the company. I think he would do wonders here. It would certainly hurt AEW in a big way. But if MJF is going to follow the money, then I would say, while Tony Khan absolutely has deep pockets, I would put as many zeros as necessary on that check. He is a once-in-a-generation talent. I mean that. And I'm not saying that lightly or to create buzz or whatever. MJF is a once-in-a-generation talent. And I'm not talking necessarily in-ring. In-ring, he is very good. I actually think he doesn't get the credit he deserves for in-ring and how good he is in-ring and how good of shape he's gotten in. It's personality, presence, and of course, mic skills. He shows you how important it is and how much of an asset it can be if you can talk, right? If you can talk, the wrestling almost becomes secondary, doesn't it? And so I think MJF and WWE would give him a new playground to play on for a long time on a bigger stage. And it would create more buzz. I think he'd make more money than he would in AEW long term. And think of the fantasy matchups. As you said, yeah, WWE sometimes relies on the Attitude Era too much. And eventually they're going to be aged out of that because of just, time. Father Time wins all battles. But MJF is young. He's going to just get better. And as long as WWE, if they bring him in and they're determined to bring him in, you let him go on the mic. You don't restrict him. You do exactly what AEW has done, minus the, obviously the TV 14 language, which does hurt a little bit in what he is about because he's kind of like shock promo, but he speaks truth and does it in a way that is a bit risque because of the TV 14 rating in AEW. But if you're able to kind of still deliver the same message, but do it in a way that's, a little bit more TV PG, I think he can absolutely be a mega star in WWE. And look, 2024 we're almost May 1st here. So what is that? How many months? 8 months, right? Yeah, 8 months away. So TikTok. Thanks, Isaac. All right, everybody. That does it, I believe. Hold on. Wait. Wait, no, we have Dennis O'Brien. I didn't want to miss you, buddy. You said, how are you? Very short here. Quick question. Where the hell is Shanky? I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I'd imagine maybe he's in Raw Underground with Dabba-Kato. I'm not sure. Or Commander Aziz. Maybe they're all down in Raw Underground training. I honestly don't know. That is the first time I've heard Shanky in months. All right, Darren, I know that you said this is not for the mailbag, but it doesn't seem personal, and I'm not giving any of your last name or anything, so you're still anonymous generally. So, Darren, here's what you said, and I'm only answering this because I'd rather speak it than write back. You said that I just wanted to share with you my journey back to watching wrestling, or back to watching WWE. I was a big fan when I was younger, from about 04 to 09, when I was watching. But then, high school, and it's, quote, not cool anymore with friends. Anyway, a few months back, I was on Twitter and saw a highlight clip of the WrestleMania 17 TLC match with the Hardys, Dudleys, Edge, and Christian. And I was like, oh, I need to watch that full match. So I got Peacock just for that. Then decided to watch other old matches. And then one day I saw Survivor Series War Games, and I figured might as well watch that. Shortly after, I found your podcast, and I'm back, totally hooked and loving it. Even got my girlfriend to watch all the PLEs with me since then, and had her screaming at Solo Sikoa for cheating to help Roman Reigns win against Cody. Sorry, went on long. Just wanted to share with somebody. Well, Darren, no. I know you didn't mean that for the mailbag, but since it's nothing on a personal level, it's still wrestling related, and I don't want you to even give me your last name or anything like that. I still felt comfortable sharing this on the mailbag. I'm glad you got back into wrestling, first of all. Sometimes the product can take you away, and I totally get the not cool thing. The not cool factor is something that all wrestling fans deal with at one point or another in their wrestling fandom, where you always get people who are, it's just not cool to watch, or you get, especially in high school, right? Oh, my high school's a mess. High school's a mess as it is. I mean, you know, if you watch a show that's deemed stupid or fake or not cool, then, you know, those are things at that age that you're looking for validation from friends, and you want to be able to fit into a group. I mean, that's, now I don't give a damn, right? Like at 38 years old, I could give a, you know what, less. In fact, if someone says they don't find it cool or don't like it, what does that make me want to do? Double down, right? So, you know, but at that age, from 14 to 17 or 18, you want to be accepted. And if something's not cool, you either have to pretend you don't watch it or actually stop watching it. So a lot of people fall off, and it sucks, but I'm glad you're back. And you certainly started at a hell of a high point. WrestleMania 17, regarded as one of the best, if not the best WrestleMania of all time. A Stone Cold heel turn, Rock Austin Part 2, Dudley's, the infamous triple threat TLC match. I mean, geez. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad your girlfriend's into it. That's cool. And to find a girl that enjoys wrestling also, man, she's a keeper. Okay. Because oftentimes you guys out there can probably relate, whether you have girlfriends or wives or whatever, you know, you probably are ignored, or you have to go in a separate room, or she does something else while you watch wrestling, right? Because she has no interest most of the time. It's not all the time, but most. So, all right, Darren, thanks, buddy. I'm glad you're back. All right, that does it for email portion of the show. Let's dive into those voicemails right now.
Hello, WWE Podcast World. This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag show. Record to you live on a Wednesday morning. And before we get to the Veer Mahan Report, before we get to the Veer Mahan Report, man, I gotta say this. Last week, I don't know how, I don't know where, but the WWE The Bump, that weekly show that comes on every single, I believe it's Wednesday, for some reason, they found my tweet, and my tweet went viral. Oh my goodness. So shout out to everybody that mentioned about that tweet in the Discord chat. Shout out to all the patrons in the Discord chat that mentioned that to me, that pointed it out to me, that my tweet went viral on WWE The Bump. Now, what are the odds? What are the odds that whatever you put on the internet goes viral? It's like a 1 in a million chance that your stuff can get viral. Your video, your tweet. So if you believe in yourself and you keep working at it and you keep working at it, you never know. Your stuff might get viral just like mine last week. Oh my goodness. Now, no, this is not a motivational speech, folks. Let's get back to your favorite show to come on every single week on the Mailbag. And I'm talking about the Veer Mahan Report. Now, the Veer Mahan Report took place last night on NXT, and again, there was still no mention of Veer Mahan. There was still no mention of Saga. There was still no mention of the in this share of the modern day Maharaja Jinder Mahal again for I don't know how many weeks now. It feels like 3 months now, but I know that next week is a regular episode of NXT, and hopefully, just hopefully, we get to see the appearance of the in this year. Maybe going against Gallus, the NXT Tag Team Champions, or maybe another tag team that is coming up in the NXT Tag Team division. Because I checked at Veer Mahan social, I checked at Saga social, and I checked at the modern day Maharaja social, and still there has not been any tweets, any new messages to give me some hints. So it seems like they are back in America, and hopefully, just hopefully, they'll be back next week. The end this year of my guy, Veer Mahan, of my guy, Saga, and of course, the modern day Maharaja Jinder Mahal. Now, with that being said, I hope y'all have an awesome week. I hope y'all have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay loose, my friends, and peace.
Okay, so I'm a bit, I missed it. I'll have to go back into our Discord chat. What tweet went viral? I went through your social media feed a little bit as you were as you were talking, I was listening. I'm trying to scroll. You tweet a lot, so you have 30,000 tweets, my friend. And you know, first of all, good for you. I wish I actually could do that. I wish I had the time to do that and be more interactive. So it's not a criticism at all. In fact, it's a bit of a jealousy because I don't have time to do that. But my point is, you have to send me what tweet went viral on the bump. That's awesome. Number one, it is very difficult to go viral. Sometimes things just happen, right? Let me know. That's awesome. Number one. Number two, the Creed brothers and Sangha and the modern day Maharaja and of course Veer Mahan himself. Yeah, things are radio silence, my friend. I haven't heard anything either. I did a little bit of kind of cursory research. I didn't see much. I'm not concerned that they're being released or anything, but my hunch is that they are just being ready. They're being readied for the draft. I would imagine that even if they're not announced on TV, that they are placed on one of the shows as a tag team in the draft. So I think we should look forward to that. All right. Thank you, DJ. Let's get to our next voicemail.
Hey, Matt. It's Brad in New York. After watching the last few weeks, just every Raw and SmackDown end with pretty much some iteration of Solo Sikoa versus Sami Zayn, Matt Riddle, or Kevin Owens. Like, I just feel like it's kind of like always like a repeat of that match, either opening or closing Raw and SmackDown every single week. Just kind of thinking about it, like, I'd love to see like a more creative kind of booking process where, like, you know, maybe you have like a Solo Sikoa just kind of run into, you know, Gunther backstage, and, you know, Roman kind of orders, like, now we have to get all the belts back. Like, you're getting that Intercontinental Championship, or have, you know, Jey Uso go after Theory for the U.S. title or whatever. Like, I'd love to just see some creativity, like some weird things happen that are almost like mashups that you wouldn't expect in terms of matches. And I feel like you just kind of get like feud, match, feud, match, feud, match. I'd like to see some randomness, like even like, you know, going as far as, you know, Solo Sikoa is ordered to go bring back the NXT championship for Roman. Almost like Roman is this tribal leader who is ordering his men to go and get every championship possible and bring it back to him for his stable. You know, I don't know. I just would like to see some sort of, you know, mashup of matchups. But regardless of that, I'm really looking forward to hopefully some NXT call-ups. Specifically, I'm really hoping Grayson Waller gets called up. I'm hoping people like Pretty Deadly, Braun Breaker, Cora Jade even. I'd love to see some life breathed into the women's division with NXT call-ups. Zoe Stark is one that comes to mind. I know you're not a big NXT guy, but I feel like those type of names would really liven things up. And I'm hoping for a really great situation with the draft, because there's a lot of good people in NXT who can bring a lot to the main roster, and like LA Knight did, and even like Solo Sikoa did. I mean, we forget, you know, Solo Sikoa was in NXT in September. So, you know, always enjoy listening to you, man. And, yeah, thanks for having me on.
Good to hear you, Brad. It's been a while. Been a hot minute, as the kids say. So what you are witnessing, my friend, is something called a holding pattern, with the whole Solo Sikoa having some kind of match with Riddle or, against Sammy or whatever. Like, it does feel a bit repetitive. I agree. And it's always Solo coming out on top, as it should be. But I'm with you. Like, it's been kind of the same thing for Raw and SmackDown for some time, which also makes you wonder, you know, what are they going to do when they don't have Solo Sikoa and the Usos on every brand that they just willy-nilly decide to bring them on? You know, when they actually have to adhere to the brand rules, assuming they do, how are they going to manage that? Because the Bloodline has been carrying both brands significantly, more SmackDown than Raw. Raw is just, they got more time to fill, so I think it's something that's a factor. But certainly you're right. In the randomness thing, well, that's the narrative they try to push to us all the time. That's what they want us to feel like the product is, and that's how they want the fans to perceive the product as. Anything could happen. Even Vince McMahon himself has said that, except for the fact that it has felt anything but that I mean, until Triple H took over, and he's done a great job. Not perfect, and he's made some boneheaded decisions, but anyone in this position, no matter who you put in, is not going to be perfect. And that's the feeling that I think overall needs to be worked on, is things shouldn't feel so damn formulaic, right? You shouldn't have somebody come out at the beginning of Raw and say, "Welcome to Monday Night Raw," as if they're, Howard Finkel or something. Like, I don't need to be welcome to Raw. You're not an announcer. Get to your program. Stop being a rah cheerleader for the company. You know what I mean? Like things like that. And always knowing when they're going to go to commercial. Someone gets knocked outside the ring, and then the baby face is down, and Corey Graves says, and so, can they get back in this? Right. And that's how they go to commercial. And you're right. Like, it's been the same players in the same room for a while with Solo. But I think the draft is going to change things. It has to. It has to. And you know what? Like, some of the call-ups you mentioned, while I don't follow NXT very closely, which is why we have a separate NXT host, Memphis Mark, does a great job. I'd recommend you guys go listen to him. I think that while I don't know the product as intimately as most NXT fans do, I still know who the people are, and I've seen some of their work, and I can't disagree with you. And I think the fans that don't watch NXT, that are maybe kind of very casual viewers like myself of NXT, are going to get to know these people quickly. But you also can't leave NXT a barren wasteland, right? It's always that fine line of, well, of course NXT is built for, it's their own in-house farm system, but you can't leave it a barren wasteland with nobody there and take all their stars. So it's this constant cycle of building new stars in NXT, but not totally taking everybody out, even though everyone may be ready to come up. You got to be very selective, and like it's a balancing act that I don't envy at all. So, all right, thanks, Brad. And all right, that means next voicemail. Here we go.
Hey, it's Kyle from Baltimore. So I wanted to talk about the World Heavyweight Championship belt they announced on Raw last night. I like it. And I see the pros and cons. In some ways, I don't know why people are complaining about it. In other ways, I can see why people are complaining about it, because Reigns still has both championships. They didn't necessarily need one championship for Roman Reigns. He's still coming out with 2 championship belts. So, in some respect, I can understand why people are upset about that. But in my own opinion, I'm kind of glad they have this championship belt. And I think Rollins should win it. I don't know. What do you think about the belt itself? And do you think, is there some pros and cons of them creating a third championship belt? Should they just done this before or after Reigns lost? Or what do you think? Because I think personally I like it, and it'll make Raw more interesting. So, and that's just it. Thanks for the call. Bye.
Hey, Kyle. So if you've already listened up to this point, you've heard what I've had to say about the belt. I think the look of it it's fine. It's growing on me. I think the big logo in the middle will just eventually, not be a problem for us. And it's about what the belt means, which is more important than how it looks. But yeah, I mean, the thing is with the World Heavyweight Championship, I think the overall case of bringing it back is stronger than the case of not, because it tells you that they're going to, number one, probably keep the belt on Roman longer than even we realize. I don't think Roman is done, because if they were going to drop the belt, say if Roman was going to drop the belt in Saudi Arabia or sometime over the summer, you would say, well, the fans have gone this long without without 2 championships since WrestleMania 38. What the heck's another couple of months, right? But that tells me that they're bringing it back, which means they know that Roman's keeping it longer, probably till WrestleMania 40, and that means that the fans are just going to absolutely, implode if they don't have a world championship on Raw. Roman's schedule is not going to change. It's going to be willy-nilly here and there, defending the belt every couple of months and being on every 3 SmackDowns, presumably stays on SmackDown. So all of that put together, it satisfies the concern and the complaints. And also I think it's better for morale backstage with the guys. I mean, because how many times have the men of Raw been shafted of not being able to have a main event spot because they know that Roman on SmackDown is going to work with whoever's on SmackDown. So it gives the other brand a top belt to compete for and to work towards. And I think they ran and hit a ceiling. They ran out of options and hit a ceiling with the U.S. title on Raw. They did a great job of rebuilding it, rebranding it, and it was well done. But you can only go so far before fans are like, okay, cool. Thanks for elevating that. We do appreciate it. But yeah, we remember there was another championship here, wasn't there? One that actually meant more. Where's that? And so those are the things that I think about with this new belt. And an argument against it is, well, now it devalues the U.S. title. The U.S. title could go back down, down a peg or two because Daddy's home, right, so to speak. So again, my closing statement is what I started with, and that is the argument to bring it, I think, is stronger than the argument to not. So, all right, let's get to our next one.
Alex, the French guy here, your current European champion, talking to you from a small town in the middle of nowhere in Germany. I am also doing my European tour officially as the European champion, unofficially for my work. And, I will talk about the subject. I think everybody will talk about it in this podcast. But first, New York Kyle, I didn't forget you. We will have a match. But right now, as I'm having my tour, I cannot be at everywhere, every time, at the same time. There's only one French guy, And no, the subject that I wanted to talk about, like everyone else, I think, on the podcast today, is the new World Heavyweight Champion. I want to thank you, Triple H, for saving WWE, for saving ratings, for being a good creative, for taking the right decisions. So many superstars were on the go. Seth Rollins wanted to go. Drew McIntyre wanted to go. Rising star, not seeing future, they wanted to go. New championship is the solution. Now Roman Reigns can keep the championship until 70. He can pretty much take the championship for 10 years. We don't care. We have another championship. There's so many old stories for Roman Reigns to tell. So many stories for other world champion to tell. It will be, when I saw the news, I was thrilled. For the first time in months. I was genuinely happy for the situation. So thank you, Triple H. And for the new World Heavyweight Champion, my odds, as everyone, is Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre maybe, Edge, but definitely someone who legitimized the title to be what it is, because it's the superstar that makes the titles. And yeah, or even maybe some new rising star, dominant force, Gunther. Why not? Why not Gunther? But not yet. Gunther will have this championship. That's a fact too. Tell me what you think, Matt, and see you next week, everybody.
All right. Well, Alex, welcome back to the show. Look, I don't think there's really many options here. The way that Triple H laid out what this championship is going to mean and hinting at the type of champion you're going to have, it has to be a babyface. So Gunther's out. Any heel is out. I know I kind of scared people with saying it could be Roman Reigns. I'm only saying I would do that if I ran the company to see what people would do, but they're not going to do that. They can't do that. Just the cynical part of me wants to see it. It's got to be a babyface, the way Triple H was talking about it. And I know Edge fits the babyface mold, but the fact is he's a part-timer. You would have a part-timing babyface champion. You can't have that. This person needs to be an established weekly babyface, big-time babyface. Seth Rollins fits it. Cody fits it. Drew fits it. That's it. Bobby Lashley kind of fits it. And, he's not as big of a babyface, and the fans don't have as strong a connection with him as they do with Drew and Cody and Seth. Those are your three options. And I'm saying it's got to be one of those three. It has to be. So I would imagine in Saudi Arabia, Night of Champions, maybe it's a triple threat. Maybe it's Drew versus Cody versus Seth. I think that'd be awesome, unless they do a tournament style in which it's going to be one-on-one. And if it comes down to Cody and Seth, hey, then they get to wrap up their program too, because there's unfinished business there. Not that I want Seth to turn back to a heel at all, nor do I want him to take yet another loss to Cody Rhodes, or maybe they save that and Seth goes to SmackDown. There's ways to do this. My suggestion is that Rollins goes to SmackDown, but only if he is planned to defeat Roman Reigns for the championship. Maybe at SummerSlam. That's it. Otherwise, if you're going to bring Seth to SmackDown, only to have him be yet another notch on Roman Reigns' belt, no. Stay away. As good of a program as it would be, I don't need Seth to lose yet another big match on another big stage multiple times. Seth is ready for the big time. So, I mean, he's always been ready for the big time, but I'm saying ready for a championship run in a big moment. It's been criminally long since Seth has held a singles championship of that ilk. Yeah, he was U.S. title for like a flash, right? But I'm talking about world heavyweight championship status. It's time for Seth. If you're going to bring him to SmackDown and have Cody be the champion on Raw or Drew be the champion on Raw, then you better have big plans for Seth. And I'm not talking about, well, he'll be in a program with Roman. Oh, no, he needs to win it. Don't bring him over to just have a program, right? All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Alex. Let's get to the next one. I don't know how many more. One or two more. Let's see what happens.
Bang! Yo, it's me, it's Rocky T. What up, WWE Podcast? Just want to call in with a little voicemail this week. Hope everybody's doing great. Hope y'all are not having a good day, but having a great day. I just got done listening to Current State with you, Matt, and Anthony D. Just to the point of CM Punk possibly returning at some point, because we know all superstars eventually get over their beef and do a return. When he does return, and I believe he will, I believe it'll be on a Legends contract. He's definitely deserving of a Hall of Fame spot, maybe sooner than later. But I think it was Anthony's point, he would be a great foil, a great legend or legacy win for Austin Theory. And speaking to Austin Theory as being U.S. champ, that is the only title that CM Punk has not won in his time in WWE. He is a Triple Crown winner. He's the company's 19th Triple Crown champion, and he is the fastest wrestler to do such that in 203 days. So if he came back, he should definitely not be in any title matches. If he comes back, he is definitely in the give back stage of his career like a John Cena. So if he were to come back and Austin still be the champion, yeah, I wouldn't mind them putting that mid-card title on him so he can become a Grand Slam champ, adding to his legacy. But other than that, bring him back, have him give back, have him sell some merch, make him and the company some money, which is something he likes to do, and, boot him out. So it could be a one-year contract, kind of how like the W Boys did when they returned with their Legends contract. Make a big return, big pop, sell some merch, put the younger talent over, and then move on. So those are my thoughts on CM Punk, and that's it for now, guys. And don't forget to check out WrestleMagic Episode 2 from pay-per-view to BLE. And everybody, stay loose. Bye, guys.
All right, yeah, definitely check out WrestleMagic Episode 2, guys. We put it out last week. Well done. Okay, Rocky, I hear you. I hear you about CM Punk, and I did have the conversation with Anthony two nights ago. I'm losing track. And CM Punk returning, do I think it'll happen? Yeah, because as you said, everyone seems to come back, no matter how bad the beef seems to be, no matter how much the drama seemed to have overtaken them or whatever. Everyone seems to find their way back. Usually it's the case. And with CM Punk, I don't think it'll be any different, but I agree. Yeah, Legends contract for sure. Not even a semi-regular, like Legends contract. I agree. But do I think he should beat Austin Theory? I mean, I don't think CM Punk's going to want to come back just to lose. He does have an ego about himself. And I don't think the fans would want that. Now, the fans out, I don't know if they'd even want to see, or if they would accept this and just be like, hey, you're bringing back CM Punk after 10 years, and you're going to just put him in a kind of a mid-upper card spot with Austin Theory? Why is he not in a top spot? And again, the reason I would give to somebody like that is, maybe you will, is that he's even if you put him in a championship match, he's not going to win. He's not in that place anymore. His age is well past what a champion should be at this point in the game, and there's no point to having him in a championship match. And non-title, sure, but I don't know. So I'm with you on the Austin Theory thing. The only damage you would do is, well, he loses, Austin Theory loses, and then CM Punk has a short run, goes away, and then Austin Theory's left with egg on his face. I mean, Austin Theory, I actually think, even though he beat John Cena at WrestleMania, lost in the victory, if that makes sense. And I made this point, but the more I think about it, I think it was on Raw or my weekend review, when Austin Theory beat John Cena at Mania, the way he needed to beat him was clean. John Cena is beyond a made man. There is absolutely nothing you can do to him that would damage his career at this point, how people view him, his legacy. It's all set in cast iron, right? And having John Cena lose clean to Austin Theory, I think would have given more credibility to Austin Theory and more bragging rights. Low blows are not for WrestleMania or for helping build new stars. Okay. You can have heels win clean, and I don't know who they were trying to protect. Why are we protecting John Cena again? If that's the argument, why? Mr. Hollywood now? He came for one promo and came for Mania and then was gone. I mean, I think that did more damage to Austin Theory than help. So if we're going to have CM Punk now come in and cut a couple of promos with Austin Theory, and he beats Theory and takes his belt, well, what does that do to Austin Theory? Again, if the idea is to help build new stars, well, you're not exactly helping here. You know what I mean? Having Punk, okay, he worked with CM Punk, but he lost. And he lost his title, So I get it. I understand, and I know why people are pointing to Austin Theory, but the name of the game should always be to help build new stars. And I don't know, is giving back really taking the championship away from a guy you're trying to build? Is that a give back stage? I don't know. So I get it, though. All right, final voicemail. Let's do it in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, Matt. This is Randy from LA. I have a question. So what do you want to talk about? Just kidding. I want to talk about the World Heavyweight Championship tournament scenarios for this upcoming tournament. I know you mentioned Cody is the favorite, but I feel Cody winning would be the worst case scenario for Cody. I feel like it's it should be the last option for him. I feel like he needs to go on to SmackDown and finish his story with Reigns. I feel like that's the only way for the story to finish, is to beat Roman and capture the WWE belt. Winning a belt that didn't exist or was retired, however you want to look at this new championship, would make this title look like a consolation prize without taking it from Roman. As a matter of fact, anyone that Roman has beat during the 1,000-day streak, in my opinion, shouldn't get to be a part of this tournament. I feel like they need to go to SmackDown, and if they are credible title contenders, they should have to take the belt from Roman. Winning this tournament would look like, you couldn't beat Roman, so the company just created you your own championship. It would just make the new championship look weak. It would also make the brands look very uneven. Just so uneven. You guys you remember back when Big E was champion on one brand and Roman was on the other, and one champion looked mighty and credible, and the other one just looked like Big E. But anyway, so I want to leave that alone. With this logic that I'm throwing out there, though, I think whoever wins this title should be someone that hasn't lost to Roman. And in my opinion, this is the best way to make this championship look on par with Roman's championship, With these ideas, this logic leads me to Gunther as the new champion. He hasn't faced Roman, and he gives off that whole face of the company vibe. Plus, this is a way to get the Intercontinental title off Gunther without him actually losing. It keeps his win streak going, and it would make him look so dominant, and obviously he already looks credible. Also, I was thinking about this. Why are we supposed to hate Gunther? All he wants to do is restore the purity and credibility of wrestling. Sounds like a guy that we should be cheering. Gunther wouldn't feel like an inferior champion to Roman, and you can tease a Roman versus Gunther match all the way to WrestleMania. There's also Seth and possibly maybe Solo. They can have Bloodline dominate both brands. Anyways, want to see.
Oh, you're the first victim of the 3-minute cutoff, Randy, from LA, and you nearly got banned anyway. You know what? I guess that's poetic justice. That's karma right there. See, you wouldn't have got cut off if you didn't start the voicemail with what do you want to talk about. So I guess the karma did come back instantaneously. Anyway, Randy. Okay, so the World Heavyweight title absolutely seems to be the focal point of tonight's conversation, and rightfully so. But here's the thing, and I know what you're saying, that if Cody goes to SmackDown, he should finish the story with Roman. And arguably, right now, as it stands, the belt two physical belts, one championship that Roman holds, has more value than the World Heavyweight Championship, right? But this isn't a championship that they just created out of nowhere like they did with the Universal to balance out the brands having a champion on each brand. This championship has a lot of lineage. I mean, just for some context here, this championship, while we haven't seen it in a while, has had title holders like Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Goldberg, Chris Benoit, Randy Orton, just to name a few. You know, mainly Triple H, Batista, Kurt Angle, Rey Mysterio, King Booker, Undertaker, Edge. Okay? There have been a who's who, nearly, of who has held this belt. Now, that was back in, 2002 to 2008 or so. I get it. It seems like an eternity ago. But it's fair to mention that this belt has a lot of lineage, heritage, and value that needs to just be re-educated to today's fan. This is not just the championship. While it looks a little different with the big logo stuck in the middle and the belt is a little smaller, it is not a belt that they just fabricated out of whole cloth, okay? So there's that. And it wouldn't be just a championship that just is, again, just created. But I understand what you're saying. He chased Roman, and it would look like, well, Cody couldn't beat Roman, so he has to, compete for this. Well, it's also not of Cody's doing of where he gets drafted, right? Cody can't control that. So if Cody has to stay on Raw and is drafted to Raw, and Roman is drafted to SmackDown, well, what's he going to do? I mean, the argument is, well, I can't go to SmackDown. I can't, as much as I'd love to finish my story and beat Roman Reigns, I can't. So I'm just going to do what I have to do here and become world champion here. So I think Cody wouldn't be hurt by that. But I also understand why people would want to have him win on a bigger stage, with a bigger, quote unquote, bigger championship, even though the World Heavyweight Championship, even if they just did a couple of video packages, I think would really help. But we're not even talking about like Big E. What about Big E returning? Maybe he's a big surprise entrant and he wins. What about Randy Orton? I don't think Randy Orton would, because he's a legacy star. He's injury prone at this point. And I actually think he's going to join Riddle to take on the Usos at some point, where Kevin and Sammy move on to their next opponents, whoever those may be. So this is an interesting time in WWE, no doubt about it. But yeah, I'm with you. But the thing is with Gunther, while I want him as a world champion, and world heavyweight champion would be a lot of fun, there's just a couple problems with that. One of them, as I mentioned earlier, this is tailor-made for a babyface champion right now, and for a significant period of time, 6 to 8 months, maybe to WrestleMania 40, and have the babyface drop it there or something. It's tailor-made. You cannot have Roman Reigns as a heel champion on Raw, or rather on SmackDown, holding it for nearly 3 years. People are like, oh my God. And then Gunther, who is billed as a heel, and he wins it on Raw. Like, you can't do that. It's, it'll defeat the purpose of bringing a championship to Raw, at least in the short term. But also, his story's not done with the IC title yet. Not done. I think he's got more tread left on that tire and more story to be told with him as IC champion. He's done an amazing job as IC champion. I see no reason to stop it right now. If you want to get the belt off him to put him in the world title picture, you do that at a point when it's a bigger stage for Gunther if you're planning on having him win the World Heavyweight Championship after he drops the IC. And that is on a bigger stage, SummerSlam at the earliest. I would argue WrestleMania 40 would be a nice crowning moment for him. You know, I mean, it's crazy we're talking about WrestleMania 40, isn't it? So anyway, those are my points. I could go on and on, but don't forget about Randy Orton floating out there and Big E floating out there. You know, at some point they will return from the ether. So thanks, Randy. Thanks to everybody. Again, guys, if you want to go VIP and get rid of ads, you can do that on our website, wwepodcast.com. You can go to our website there and go VIP and get all our shows for free, or for ad-free rather. And you can also go to Apple Podcasts and you can get a 7-day free trial to check us out. And then it's $2.99 a month, or on Patreon at patreon.com/WWE Podcast if you want an ad-free experience there. And many of you have taken advantage of that. And I'd like to give a shout out to our latest patron who just joined us over there. And he just recently joined us. Was it today? Let me look. I got to make sure it was today. I'm losing track of time, guys. Frank did join us today. So thank you, Frank. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy your ad-free experience. All righty. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Take care, and I will talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.